Things got a little heated between Wolf Blitzer and Kellyanne Conway during a recent segment on CNN. Now, as we all know, George Conway, Kellyanne Conway's husband, has been vocal in criticizing Donald Trump and pointing out all of his questionable behavior in the White House. And so Conway gets confronted about that. She doesn't like it. Take a look.
I just have a final question, a sensitive question, and it's a political question. It's a substantive question. I don't want to talk about your marriage. I know that there are issues there. Your husband, George Conway, he's a lawyer.
Did you just say?
Your husband, George Conway.
Did you just say there are issues there? You don't want to talk about marriage?
I don't want to talk about. No, I don't want to talk.
Why did you say that?
I don't want to talk about your marriage. I don't want to talk about your. I want to talk about a substantive point that your husband, George Conway, made. He was on television all day yesterday during the first day of the impeachment hearings, and he said this about the president of the United States. I just want your reaction to the substance of what he said.
So before you play the clip, which I haven't seen, why? And why are you doing that?
Because he's a legal scholar, he's a lawyer, and he was really going after the president of the United States, and he was all over television yesterday.
And come on,
I just want you to.
And he's married to me.
But you know, he happens to be married to you. What's wrong with that?
You can run the clip of Jeffrey. He happens to be married to me. That's bizarre.
Correct.
Okay, let me just say there are no winners in this story, okay? I'm not buying this whole like Kellyanne Conway versus George Conway nonsense, right? Oh, George Conway, he's so bold in criticizing Donald Trump. I don't care, right? You're married to a woman who constantly defends him on cable news. So I don't know, you should really take a look at your own house and figure out what's going on in your own home before you decide that you're gonna be like this bold truth teller. I like that he's telling the truth, but at the same time, like, do you have these conversations with your wife? Because she's constantly defending him. Okay, there's no winners. That's my take. You might disagree with me on that. But I want to talk about Wolf Blitzer for 1 second. He's so scared.
I know.
He's so scared, and it's so pathetic.
Just ask the question, Wolf. Look, we want to give you credit. It's nothing wrong with that question. Just ask it. But he never got to the question because he was like, "Now it's not. I don't about the marriage. It's not an issue. I know there are issues. I mean, there's issues. I don't want to talk about your." And it's a serious question, and he's like, "Just ask the freaking question, Wolf. Ask the question." Right?
I just want to say, this is a political question. This is not about your marriage, even though it has to do with your husband, and it definitely is about your marriage. But I just don't want you to think it's about your marriage because I'm really scared of you. You're really, really mean sometimes.
I know. Just ask it. Anyway, look, he meant to ask it. I want to give him credit for that.
Just ask it and be bold and strong. That's it.
All right. Don't get like there. You know what's interesting, and there is there's an underlying problem here that's bigger than just this interaction, which is that the press is afraid of power.
Yes.
So you're supposed to be the watchdog. The watchdog doesn't come to the robber and go, "Now I said, look, I know you're looking to rob the house, but I just look, I know I'm gonna let you rob the house. I'm gonna let you rob. Could you just no? The watchdog attacks, right? And says, hey, I'm gonna hold you accountable. Your husband, George Conway, legal scholar, says this. Oh, he's my husband. That's off bounds. Hey, I don't care what you think off bounds is. Okay, here's here's a top legal Republican scholar saying that the guy you work for is obviously a criminal and should be impeached. How do you answer that? He's my husband. I don't care that he's your husband. Answer the question.
Yes.
Answer the question,
yes.
Right? That's watchdog. Not this, right? So, and look, in terms of their marriage, look, I almost hope that they're in on it. And like my theory that later Kellyanne Conway is gonna say, hey, you knuckleheads, I was obviously telling them to do it. What did you think? I'm anonymous and this was an SOS to the world, etc. Okay, if it's not that, then I kind of feel terrible for them. And I guess that's the lib in me. Marriages are hard, and my God, they're in the public eye more than you could ever imagine. And so I don't know what, I don't even want to think about the dinner table, etc. But that's gotta be kind of brutal. If they're really earnest and they really disagree this way, and the husband's going out there saying, oh, my wife's boss is a monster, and he should, and who would work for a person? He said that, something like that the other day, right? Okay, so, and then meanwhile, she's going out all over town going, the only reason you care about him is because he's subservient to me and I'm the person in charge. You remember when she yelled at the reporter on tape? The only reason why he's relevant is because he's married to me. God, Jesus, if you're the husband.
Wait, she said that about her own husband?
Yes.
I mean, George.
It doesn't matter.
Curious,
don't
George.
Get like, who
I'm
cares?
Curious, like, what are you doing?
No, because you don't know, because they got kids. Look, so that's why I genuinely don't care about. It's not about their marriage, but it's a fair question about here's a guy who was considered by the Trump administration for a position. So he's not a never Trumper. And so can you answer the question about why he thinks that your boss should be impeached? Fair question, but we never got to it.
No, we did get to it actually.
I mean, in that clip,
sort of.
sorry.
Yeah, so let's go to the next clip because the conversation continued.
But I know there are issues. Why would you say that? What is it?
I don't want to talk about your. I don't want to talk about your.
Why would you say there are issues?
Listen to what your husband said. I'll play the clip.
The problem with Donald Trump is he always sees himself first. Trump is all about Trump. And that's why it was inevitable he'd get himself into the soup once again. And that's what this is all about. He was using the power of the presidency in its most unchecked area, foreign affairs, to advance his own personal interests as opposed to the country's.
All right, that's a serious allegation, a serious charge. He was using the power of the presidency, its most unchecked area, foreign affairs, to advance his own personal interests as opposed to the country's.
That is his opinion. And I don't think MSNBC was lacking for anti-Trump voices. And we've heard things like that said on CNN for 3 years. And we've heard things like that said on that network for 3 years and elsewise. And honestly, where is the shame? Where is the introspection of people who have said for 3 years, respectfully, Wolf, actually beginning in May of 2017, I'll quote your wife's husband right now. I won't talk about your marriage, but I'll quote your wife's husband. 2017, you asked Angus King, are we getting closer to impeachment?
I don't know why that's a controversial question to ask, right? That's a nonsense response. But I just want to mention something. She's putting herself in the position of a victim, right? Because Wolf Blitzer is asking a question about a very serious disagreement between Kellyanne Conway and her own husband, who is a legal scholar, right? And she's the one who goes on national television to defend Donald Trump's disgusting policies at the border, which has led to dozens of migrants dying in cages. Those are victims. Those are victims. You're not a victim. You're in a position of power. Okay, so don't make yourself out, oh, there's all these other people that disagree, so why can't you play their clips? Because it's interesting that your husband, who's a legal scholar, is speaking the truth about the lack of legality in the White House. Okay, yeah. That's why.
So is it a relevant question to ask about impeachment in the middle of impeachment to one of the president's top advisors? I can't imagine a more relevant question. What were you supposed to ask about? What'd you have for lunch? Of course it's right. Did you notice? She never answered.
Never answered.
That's Kellyanne Conway 101. Divert, divert, divert. Squirrel, squirrel, bucket of squirrels, right? Oh, I can't believe you'd ask that. Shame, May of 2017. Yeah, but wait, did he advance his own personal interest in conducting foreign policy? On the other hand, squirrel, squirrel. So okay, for the record, never answered it. And if my theory is right, she'll then turn around and go, if you notice, I never answered it, right? George and I were working on this the whole time, and whenever you asked me about what he said, I never denied it, okay? So that could easily be the shell game that they're playing. But my favorite part was at the end, have you no shame?
Yeah, have you no shame?
Working for the Trump administration, being there, his top lackey, going out there and defending all the monstrous things he did. And you're asking if other people have no shame. All right, duly noted, Kellyanne.
I have to say one final thing. If that is the shell game that they're playing, right? And if she plans on coming forward sometime in the future when Trump is no longer in office to say, this was our plan, George Conway, my husband was saying this and I never disagreed with him publicly. Okay, just understand that she continued working for Trump and she continued defending Trump. Why? Is there anyone putting a gun to her head and telling her she needs to work for Trump and defend Trump? No, she has made a decision to do so. Why? Why has she made a decision to do so? Because of the power, because of the access, because of her own self-interests. So she doesn't get to go through the mainstream media, laundering cycle to clear her reputation. She's a bad person, period. I don't care what her husband does, I care what she does. And she defends him time and time again. Defends Trump time and time again.
Look, I'll give you a quick example and why it's so seductive for the people in Washington. I was at an event during the White House Correspondents' Dinner weekend. It was actually arguably the top party of the weekend. And Kellyanne Conway, this was 2 years ago, Kellyanne Conway walks in and everybody was like, oh, and like the whole crowd buzzed around her, media people, other politicians, everybody at the party. All of a sudden, everybody's taking pictures, and she was the big celebrity at the party. That's why she does it. Later, when she'll pretend that it was out of principle and she was leaking and she was trying to help the country and save the country, no way. She loved the fame and the power. That's why she did it. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.